For this, friends, the other file which we'll be requiring is going to be this code file. This is your entire workspace. All your programs are here. None of the programs have been put into the Colab notebook. So there are two reasons behind it. The first reason is if I keep a program of GUI making, which uses the tkinter library, it's called as T and kinter. So T is a separate word, kinter is a separate word. So tkinter library, in short, it is called as TK. So, in the conversation on the chat or even while speaking, you and I both will refer as TK only. Yeah? Tkinter becomes a very long word. So what I'm trying to say is that if I'm using this TK library in Jupyter or in Colab, it won't work. Why? Because it needs access to your display graphic drivers. And by rule, anything which is running in a Colab or running in a Jupyter, which is nothing but a Colab on your normal terminal, or maybe an Anaconda Jupyter, it will not be able to get an access to the operating system or to the display drivers. That's the reason you cannot run your codes in Colab. So you have to run it on a command prompt. Okay, that is the first reason. Second is, uh, I thought of keeping the theory and the practical part separate. So if you look at the Colab notebook very carefully, I'm not going to come to the Colab notebook at all. I'll be explaining you verbally and all the codes right from the practicals. These Colab notebooks have been specifically made for all of you, so that if you wish to learn the theory and also have some extra links to know more about the widgets, then you can refer to this particular theory. And after every theoretical part, I have kept a link here. Look at example number 6 code. So choose a programming language plus 2 improvement code snippets. So you will notice that example number 6 is having 3 code snippets where in your practical file here. Okay. Now what is my plan for today? Up till 5 o'clock, what is my plan for today? The plan is I'm going to cover every example the notebook. If you notice here, there is something given as a coding assignment. The first coding assignment is for 7 minutes, where all of us have to get together to make a GUI application which is capable of evaluating any mathematical expression and printing the result. The second is the project which all of you have to do it yourself. Post the course. So once this is nothing to do with respect to your rank or your assessment. It is nothing to do with respect to your test, which is going to happen between 6 to 9 p.m. slot today on this topic. No, nothing. I'm seeing you for the entire FDP program. So once your program is today, okay, you get a little time on Saturday, on Sunday, you get a little time next week, whenever you get time, with patience. The project assignment is given, the formulas are being given, how the project has to be done is being explained. What the project has to be done has been explained very well here, and and I have given 2 important links which could help you to do the project. Although the project is partly solved, it is partly solved, and I'm not going to give you the answer. If I let's say if I've left 5 lines or 10 lines of the code, I'm not going to give you that. What is the use of you practicing the project? What is the programming quality which is coming? Right? Programming is not copy and paste. No, programming means programming. Right? So if you're able to do it, good. Not able to do it, simple. That is also good. No problem. But give it a try and make sure that you time yourself. 30 to 45 minutes is the timing you should try yourself. Okay, on this. So this project comes somewhere in between. Uh, and after this project, there are some additional components for which also I'm going to do the coding examples. Okay, right? So I hope the picture for today is. I'm going to keep my 2 windows open. Let me go on to the chat window here. Okay, so I'm kept my 2 windows open as you could see on my screen. Right, so let's start. Okay, the whole journey is set now. Whatever I'm speaking, friends, you haven't to worry about it. Everything which I'm speaking here, I have put in my own words in the Jupyter or in the Colab notebook. So please don't worry. And you also have the recording of the lecture, isn't it? Now, whenever we program using tkinter or simply TK, we will import this module as TK. we have to make an object of the tkinter or tk, and this object is the one due to which the GUI will be created. So this root object is actually the GUI. Now whatever component which is called as widgets, we call them as widgets. WIDGETs, widgets. So widgets are basically the components which we make. Every component or every widget you make, he or she has to be the child of the GUI component. So my GUI component is root, as you know. So label is a child to the root, so he is visible. See, if you don't make label or any component for that reason, a child to the TK component, then it is not going to be visible. So I've made a text part here. You can give any text to the label. Label is just a static thing to show you some text. Greeting.pack. Now greeting is a label. So you say pack. Pack means it's going to skew itself to as much space as it requires. He will not take ample space. He will take exactly the space he needs, and that totally depends upon what is the content in the label. So the label content is more, automatically the the label is going to be bigger in size. Let's have a look how do I run this code. Normal way, Python and the file name. So what you can notice is I know this is quite too small. I'll just take it here. So white background is very clearly visible. So I can see there is a label which has come up. Why this label is so small? Because we said pack, no. See, so what if you remove pack? Let's say I'm commenting the pack. Okay, I'll just cross this label so that this label closes. So what I can notice is that, of course, I increase the size of it. By default, it was this small. Okay, I increase the size of it, and any which ways you can increase the size of it. You can reduce it also, increase it also, whatever you wish to. It's flexible. So, but you should always use pack, because pack will ensure. See, run it once again for you. Now see this. So if I notice carefully, GUI has got created, but because it didn't use pack, it's not visible only to me. I just commented pack right now. I saved my program and I ran it again. So please notice, I don't see the label. So you will say label not created. Actually, label has got created, but label doesn't know where to come. So in the GUI programming using TK, there are three methods. One is place, in which you have to literally specify the absolute position in terms of X and Y pixels where you want the component to be. Very, uh, I should say, a very heavy, cumbersome technique is to use a place function, because you have to specifically specify X and Y. How you plot a graph paper, you specifically tell me now at what X and Y point you want the point to be. That is the way place is. So it's very, uh, you know, heavy to do. Nobody uses it. Grid is quite simple. In grid, you have to arrange the components, but in grid, the problem is that you arrange the components like a grid, rows and columns. Flexibility is a little less. So if you wish to arrange the components little freely and you won't read the components or get arranged on own, then prefer to use a pack function. I'm using pack function all throughout. Remember, in every program, either a place or a grid or a pack, any one has to be used. If you don't use it, your component won't be seen. Okay, and using pack is the simplest. We are only going to be using pack. We are not going to be using place at all. Yes, in some cases I'll be using grid also. Right, now how many people could run the first program on their command prompt the way I have done, as you can see here, and could get this tiny label called hello TK. So how many people could get this? Please tell me a yes on the chat. Okay, that's very good. So quite a few people have actually got the program running. Very good. Others, who may have joined in 1 or 2 minutes late. Today, all of us are working on the command prompt. We have to work there. We can't run a TK or a GUI program from Colab or Jupyter. So please get your command prompt on and start running your codes along with me. Okay, everyone. Now, moving on to the next piece of code. It's about using images in labels. And please be very vigilant. There is a high possibility that I would have deliberately kept or removed one line or a two line of the code. May not be now, but maybe a little later. So please make sure, which I'm covering, of course, in the lecture. So, and I'm not going to, yes, I will punch that particular program on the chat definitely, but that's not going to get later on the WhatsApp group at 6 o'clock or something. No, no, no. If you attend the lecture, you get the program. Don't attend the lecture, don't attend the FDP, don't get the program. Khatam. Simple as that. Then you struggle yourself, or you watch the video and pause it and find it out. Right? So using images in labels, the next program. There is a possibility that this program of yours may not work. Why? Because the path which I have given will not be in your PC. So first listen and then smartly change the path also. Don't get the path right and you get a broken image. Then maybe figure it out after the lecture because maybe you've gone wrong in the path. Okay. The first thing first, import done, TK object made, that means GUI object made. What I'm doing is I'm making an object of photo image. This is a ready-made class in TK. To photo image, you have to give the path of the file, but be very careful. Whatever image you specify to photo image should be only of the extension GIF. If you give a JPG, if you give a PNG, image will not be visible. TK does not support. TK only supports, Hal Filal only supports images of type PPM and PGM. But PPM and PGM are not used much on Windows. So in Windows, we use GIF or JPEG. So you can imagine out of all the GIF is supported. Okay. Now, the point is this, that I have some image here of my company's logo in this particular part. So I have used that. Okay. Now what I'm doing next is I'm creating a label, as you could see, tk dot label is a child to the root. No, root means the GUI component. And notice, last time I gave some text to the label, and this time I'm giving some image to the label equal to logo. And whose logo? Logo is an object of photo image. It's an object of image. So let's have a look at next. What pack? What is pack? Pack is basically uh, compressing the image to compressing the label to as much as required to the logo. मतलब आपका label बड़ा नहीं होगा. It will be only as much as required for the logo. Now what is side equal to right? Okay. So when you are putting your image, it could either be on the right side or on the left side. So we have kept it as right side. Have a look at the next one. I have one more label in which I have given justification to the text as left. I'll talk about padding X. Please give me some time. And the text part to it is the word explanation. The word explanation is here. Have a look. So I have a multi-line string basically, which I've used as explanation. And I have packed this label as side. Now have a look how this works. It will be very clear when you look at the output. See this, please. If you see this, there is a label that's going on to the left. Why? Because we said that you will pack the label. This is W2 on the left. So this is the left label. Why does image go on the right side? Because we said you're going to pack the image on the right. So the image came on the right. Okay, interesting. So image went to the right. This went to the left. Cool. Okay, now what does it justify? Left means, okay, look at the matter. How is it coming? Please see the matter very carefully. Don't you feel that this is like Microsoft Word left justification? Right? The matter is coming in one single line. Right? So this is left justification. And last, pad 10 means the amount of space I'm going to leave on my left side here, on along the x-axis, the space I'm going to leave on the left and on my right is 10 pixel. If you wish to increase or decrease this, let me do this. Okay, this code, I'm in this, again run, see very quickly. Most of you will that this space which was there last time of 10 pixel has actually increased 20 pixel. Space is increased. Similarly, even this space or this gap has actually got increased. This is what I meant to say by the term. So pad means space left horizontally on either side, and pad means space left vertically on either sides. Okay. So how many people could try this also? Any code missing? You will please highlight to me on chat. Okay. So if it's done, please say me that this image label done. If it is done, say image label done. This one. Okay. So pack and sticky, are they related? No, pack is a function, sticky is an option. Sticky is one of the options which you could use, and pack is a function. Pack, place are functions. Sticky is one of the options. So you could be sticky to the west, you could be sticky to the right, east. Okay, so how many people have finished with this program? And they could use their own image from the system. I'm sure your system should have some GIF image. कोई तो GIF image होगा आपके system में. Okay, just in case if there is no GIF image, no worries, no problem. Okay, let's move on further. There is a very similar program to the above. Very similar program to the above. The previous example was without justify. The previous example without justify. And what I mean to say is, in the above example, I used justify, justifying the text. But in this example, which I'm doing, is the same thing like above. I'm not going to run this. I'm just telling you about it in a separate file. Have a careful look that now when I have given the label and image logo, I have not given a justification. Same thing is here. When I made a text label, I have only given root and text explanation. I have not given justify. So what happens is, when you don't give justify right or justify left, have a look for yourself what happens. I'm sure you are, even if by looking at it, you can guess that it is justification is by center as default. So if we don't justify left or justify right, justification center is the default. Okay, remember this by heart. So don't be under the impression because you forgot to give justification nahi hoga. No. Justification hota hai, and justification is as center. Okay? Now let's try to do little more in a inquisitive way. Suppose you want the text to be drawn on the top of the image. At times the images are a little blurred, there are watermarks, and you want some text to come over the image. Then what do you do? So if you want the text to be drawn on the top of the image, simply a pack function cannot help you, because pack function can place the text either on the left of the image or on the right of the image, or it can place both the components in the center. How pack plays one above the other? See, pack cannot. So we need just one label and use the image at the same time. we need just one label and use the image and the text option at the same time. Like last time we were using two labels. No? Telling you is if you want the text to be drawn over the image, then please use just one label and use the image and text option at the same time. Lekin, be very careful here. See, by default to a label, if you give an image and a text exactly at the same time, then you would get the text, you would get only the image. If you use the image and text at the same time, you will only see the image, you won't see the text. So, to get the text as well, we need to use one more option called as compound option. Let's have a look how it works. Okay, so what do I see here, my friends, is that I'm importing, making the GUI object, made the logo, I have some text, long text. Look at this part. This is a new thing here. First thing I have in part two. Second important thing that I have used this option called compound. The moment you use the compound option, the tick enter GUI comes to understand that this label is having an image and text both. Notice it has a text part through the text attribute, it has an image through the image attribute. The text indicates to you some text part, as you could notice, which is here, the long text here. You can put any text of your choice here. And image is the logo object, which I have it over here. And some packing, you can just simply pack it. There's not a problem. You can say pack on the right side or on the left side. If you don't leave it, it will be sent. So let us see this. And yes, I have not spoken why I have used root.main loop till now. I have been using this in all the programs. I'll speak about it. Seeing some old images there. Have a look at this. I know you're not able to read the text because the image behind of my company is not blurred. It's the actual logo image. It's not blurred actually. But the point is that if I had a blur image in the background, then this text would have been visible. Isn't it or not? Right? So let me close this. Okay, now let me tell you what is the use of root.main loop. What happens, friends? I'm commenting this in front of you. Okay, and I'm running code once again. Have a look for yourself. And say, okay, sir, where is the interface? There is no interface. That's right. You're correct. Why? Because if you notice, the interface was created, it was destroyed, and the control came back flying off to the command prompt. Now notice without this, what happens? With this, if I put the main loop, then what happens? See, it is not here on the screen. Please notice. See, the command prompt is. I don't see the command prompt. It shows that this code is still running. See, I can't type the next code here. I can't run the next program here because I don't see the command prompt at all. You know why? Because the control has been given off to your this fellow. Control has been given off to this fellow. Who is this fellow? This fellow is a GUI component. Only if I close him, that means only if I destroy him. See, the control comes back here. So this is a mechanism of giving the control and keeping it in the loop up till you destroy the GUI component. Okay, that's the reason it is there. It is needed in every program of GUI or TK program you type. Okay, so people who are unable to run the image programs, nothing to worry about. I'm coming out of the images any which ways, and we are going on to the next example number 2 called colored labels in various fonts. Colored labels in various fonts. Okay. Let's see this. So I'm going out on this program here. Let me first run the program so that all of you can comfortably see the output first. Okay, with little patience, look at the output. What do you see? I think you're seeing 3 lines. The first line shows you some red text in Times font. The second matter shows you some green text in some Helvetica font, and this green text is also having a green background. And the third text is a blue text written on a yellow background. I also noticed one more thing, that if I look at these three are like in kind of different, sizes actually. Yeah, this is like small, and this middle one a little bigger in font. Okay, now let's keep it as it is here. Come here, see what you have done. After the two routine steps where you made a TK object, you come here. Help on this TK object, you first made a label. The label had some text. Foreground color is red, as you could see. This is coming in red color. Font is equal to times means you plan to use a times font, but please remember, you cannot give more parameters to this font. Example, you want to make it bold, this font size, italic. No, 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 no. If you want to do, if you want to give uh, so many different facilities, and there is a different widget, which almost looks like a label, but is little superior to a label. Now, what is it? I will come to it when I finish with the labels part. Okay, but understand that similar to a label, but a little superior to a label, also you have another component in GUI. What about the next one? So FG stands for foreground color, and BG stands for background color. No doubt that I got a background color as dark green in the second case. Okay. See, please understand, I have not increased the font for Helvetica. Helvetica itself is in a bigger font. I really cannot play with the font size here. Okay. Similarly is in the last case. And all the labels are visible to you, thank you to the pack function. If the pack function is not there, none of the labels would have been visible. Okay. And you will notice that to this pack function, I have neither said right, I neither said left. Therefore, it placed every component in the center. Please notice. Every component is coming in the center, and it is coming one in a line. How much ever you expand this, you will notice that they have come one in a line. It's not so that if I expand it, they are coming beside each other. No, they will never come beside each other. Because by rule, if you don't give anything to the pack function, no side left, no side right, then he is going to place every component one above the other in the center of the available area. Okay, right. So how many people could run color labels? Please punch me yes. And after running, you have a doubt, please also ask me. Okay, Rutuja is color labels done. What about others, friends? Come on. I think many people are executing along with me today. Okay, very nice. So I can see people are executing along with me today. That's fun. That's good. Okay, now as we progress ahead, we're going to learn more and more options. So I know you will be feeling, ये कैसे हो सकता है, वो कैसे हो सकता है. See, of course, all options are not possible to touch in 2 hours because possibly GUI needs more of creativity also. So every option with each other will look very clumsy. But then yes, usually this after my 2 hours of training, maybe if you are doing kind of a self execution for another about 2 or 3 hours, I think sufficient amount of GUI programming would be known to you. Right. So example number 3, dynamical content in a label. So what I mean to say is that I want some content in a label where I can change it. I don't want to show static content in a label. I want to show a label in such a way that uh, I can change its content as I move in my program. So how is that possible? Because label content is always static. No, not exactly. Label content as given by the docs, yes, it says label is supposed to hold static content. But With little smart programming, you can always change the content of the label at the runtime. How? Let us see this interesting program. So friends, okay, I'm not going to talk again and again about import. That is very obvious. We have to import. So I'll not talk about it hereafter. Please notice, I've defined a global variable as counter equal to 0. Why am I calling him global? Because if you look at this variable counter equal to 0 with respect to this function counter underscore label, then he is global because he's defined outside the function. So he's defined outside the function counter underscore label as well as outside the function count. Now this way of programming, where I have a outer function counter underscore label, and trust me, this function has no code at all. This function is having, you say, no, it has code of 5-6 lines. Patience. This entire is a code of the function called count. So if I collapse this, you will see that counter label function has nothing but a call to the count function, and the count function is this. I'm sure you will obviously feel to ask, what was I used to code a function and immediately inside it coding another function and then writing the code? You could have might as well written this much amount of code. And like, for example, like this amount of code, you could have cut it and simply put it out over here, right? Effect is going to be the same. Exactly, you're correct. Effectively the same. You're absolutely correct. The little changes here and there, 1 or 2 lines, the effect will be the same. No difference. But why this way of coding has been done is because I thought, let me take this opportunity to tell you about something called as closures. This is also an example of nested functions written in a very special way. So I'm writing nested functions here from security point of view. So this nested functions of way of writing is called as closures, where what we are doing in closures is we are writing a function immediately inside another function. So nobody from outside can call the count function. Only if somebody calls the function counter underscore label will I be able to make a call to the count function. So this actually adds a level of security in programming stance. So this is called as Python closures. Okay? So in case if this wording is not there, I would have a humble request that all of you can please add this one line of comment. I will post it on the chat. See where I've added the comment, that so you can see it yourself. In the example number 3, I have mentioned this is also example of nest or maybe nested, whatever you feel comfortable, nested functions, and this is example of Python closures actually. Okay, now going back to the code. Okay, now don't get into the code called count function के अंदर मत जाइए, बस खाली इतना समझ लीजिए कि काउंटर लेबल जो है वो count function को कॉल करता है. We will see what count function is. Don't worry. Let us see other things first. Made a TK object that is GUI, give title, made a label object, add the label so that it is visible. Oh, interesting. I'm calling the function counter underscore label and I'm passing it the label object, which is empty. Rocky sir, why do you say it's empty? Please notice tk.label. I have given some foreground color green, but I have not given any text. That means this label is empty text. कुछ नहीं है उसमें, खाली पड़ा है वो. So counter label function has been called and an empty label has been passed. Interesting. So this empty label comes here. That's right. Now what we're doing is counter label is calling another function called count. Okay. And remember, this inner function called count is inner to counter label, no? So this inner function called count can always use, by the property of closures, can always use any parameter that was passed to the outer function. So to the outer function, you passed a parameter called label. So you can always, I repeat, you can always use label inside the function called count. Okay. So this counter variable above, I have redeclared it because it's a global variable, so I have to redeclare that's a rule. I incremented the counter by 1. I said label object. Ah, acha, which was empty. Yes. Config means I want to change something in it, and I want to change the text. Text initially is blank, and now you're putting the text as the string value of the counter. Counter has become 1, so this is obviously going to become 1. So label was indicating 0, now it's indicating 1. Correct. And I'm saying label dot after 1000 milliseconds, that means 1 second, should call the count function again. Oh my god, this is a recursive call. That's right, this is a recursive call. You're correct. So this is also an example of a recursive call. Also an example of recursive call. I've got two things in one go. So this recursive call, see how it works. Have a feel of the output. Look carefully. Okay. Oh, oh, oh. Have a look. I can see that till I don't press the stop button, the counter is incrementing every second. So how do I stop it? And what will happen if I click the stop button? Before I click this here, I would prefer to read this code. Okay, so I have a button which we have made by using the button class. Text is equal to stop over it. Yes, that's right. Text is equal to stop over it. Some width is given. Okay. Command means what should the button do when you click it. So when you click the button, command would call root. Root is my GUI. Ah, correct. Root is this dabba which you see here. This entire box which you see here, which can be expanded and all that stuff. This entire box is the root. You're destroying it. Oh, sure. So if I click this, the box is going to go. Yeah, the box is going to go. You're correct. That's right. Okay, and the control comes here. Okay, so that's what the root.destroy does when you stop the application. Okay, right. So now I'm expecting all of you to try with this code, please. Please run this code. It's a very interesting code. And if your code is run, you should say dynamic label done, or you can say closure program done. Very good. One of you acknowledged dynamic label done. Yes, others also please try. Some people find GUI programming still out of the way, or I'm not saying difficult or tricky, but little out of the way because you don't code here exactly in the same way as you code, or rather as you have coded in the last 4 days. This is a little different actually. But once you get a hang of it for about 2 or 3 hours, then you will find this very simple. Okay, right. So there's a lot more to go, friends. There is absolute lot more to go. I will not increase my speed. Don't worry about it, but I'll maintain the speed. Example number 4 is a message widget. So if I look at the message widget, I'm very very honest. It's nothing different from that of a label. It is like almost similar to a label. The only thing here is that this message widget allows you to specify some additional attributes like a font and a font size and then font style, that is italic or bold or both. So you can specify such kind of parameter. That's a basic difference. Nothing more about it. So let's have a look. Message widget is trying to show a long message over here. So whatever underscore you underscore do is a string variable, as you could see. And I made a message object that means message widget basically. And the text is equal to, it's just like a label only. Text is equal to this variable, string variable. Have a look at the output. Drag him here. Okay, and have a look. First is you made a empty message object with, of course, some text, and then you configured it. Configure means you altered its properties. So you give a background color light green, so you can see some light green background color. You give it a font as times 24 font size and italic. So no wonder you see all this stuff. So basically, a message widget is little better than a label. It can give you little formatting options which label does not give you. So it's on your choice what you want to use, label or message widget. But I prefer to use label more than to use the message. I will not even ask you on the chat whether this is done or not. I am sure in parallel you can keep doing it. Right, friends. I'm looking at the fifth program or fifth example called buttons. This is very interesting because without buttons, a lot of work cannot be done. So buttons, the following script defines two buttons for us. One, quit the application, and another one for some action, like printing the text. And I'm printing some text as enter is easy to use on the terminal. Okay, let's see how do I get this. Right, so friends, if I notice, before I explain this code to you, I'll prefer to run this code so that you get a little visual hang of it. I know it's very tiny because there is two buttons. Okay, I'll expand it a bit to have a look in a better way. So what do you see at the first instant? You see that there are two buttons. One is quit, which is coming on the left hand side. Other is hello coming on the right hand side. Okay, actually both are coming in the center. To be very honest, both are like squeezed in the center only. Quit on the left and then hello. If I click on hello, I see on my command prompt a message coming up. Tick enter is easy to use. And if I click on quit, oh, charm. Quit destroyed the GUI component itself. So the GUI got destroyed. Yeah, that's right. Therefore, the control came back to the command prompt. Okay, let me run once again. Expand it a bit. Now, let's keep this as it is here and come here. Friends, in this, I thought that I should, although it is not necessary, but I was not getting an opportunity to fit a program of frames because fitting everything in 2 hours plus teaching more and more components, everything was a challenge. So I thought I should fit it here. So you will notice that till the last program or till the previous program, I was trying to fit every component or I was trying to fit I was trying to make every component as a child to root. Now there is a difference. I made a component called frame. A frame can be used to hold different parts of the UI. Example, supposedly you feel that you want to make a GUI with 9 buttons on it. So to make a GUI with 9 buttons, you won't struggle to place the 9 buttons. What you will do is that you'll make 3 frames and you would place 3 buttons in the first frame, 3 buttons in the second, so on and so forth, the last frame also. So fundamentally what we're doing is we are actually having a frame, and so we place the buttons beside each other in the frame. Similarly for the second frame, and then we pack these frames as without giving any parameters to the pack. So it will automatically pack this frame as centrified, one above the other. So this is your first frame, this is the second frame, and this is your third frame. So frames help you to become like sub-containers. So this is a kind. So you can understand this GUI component called root, the bigger box outside, is the main container. This is the main container, and this is like a sub-container who is able to contain some part of the graphical user interface. Okay, that's the basic idea. What I'm doing here is I made the frame object. So frame is the child to my root. Now everybody else will be the child to a frame, so that he is inside the frame. So notice the first button, who's the parent of him? See, it's a frame. Till now I was keeping the button's parent as root. Now I'm keeping it as frame. So this is a small tiny frame here which you cannot see. Frame has no boundary, so you cannot see the frame. So there is a tiny frame here which is holding both together. Okay? So the first button you coded is quit. It's red color, good. And the command means if you click the button, it is going to quit, and quit is a predefined command in TK, which means get out of the application. So it will quit the application. Button.pack has been given as tk.left. No wonder this button on the left. Similarly, for the second button, you have also given left. So the second button hello went on the left. So it is coming one after the other. So if you may put more and more buttons, all will come like a like a train. They will come like a linked list, one after the other. And if you notice for the second button, the command is given as write underscore slogan. Is this predefined? No. It is defined by you. So command is called write slogan. Write slogan calls the function write slogan, which prints this line. No wonder we got this line on the output. See again also. Okay, I'm quitting from this code. How many people could run the button code? They should say button is done in the chat. Okay, that's good. Now, moving on to example number 6 called radio buttons. Let's see this. So what do I notice here is in the example I want to teach you friends is what are radio buttons and how to code them. So before I begin with this code, animation, just like to run this piece of code to show you the output. More clearer here. The box a little bigger. Now have a look. Two things you should have a look. See, I have purposefully expanded it, so that you can notice that the label by default is centrified. I'm going to say center justified. Notice the label is always in the center of the given space. Then what is happening? Why is Python radio button and R radio button not moving? They're like stuck to their places. ऐसा लग रहा है कि इनको चिपका दिया किसने फेविकॉल से किसी जगह पर. शायद चिपका दिया होगा. शायद मैं नहीं कुछ कह सकता. We will have to go into the code and check. दिख तो वैसा रहा है. Okay, so how do we code it? Before I jump into the coding, I thought this is a good opportunity to teach you through this program. So each program is doing two things actually. One is simply creating a radio button or whatever component I want to teach you, plus teaching you one more aspect of the TK, which is internal. So in TK, to make a variable, I have only 4 varieties of variables in a TK. One is an integer variable, and other possible declarations for making other kinds of variables are string variable, or double variable, and a Boolean variable. You can make three types of variables only in TK. I repeat, you can make only four types of variables: integer, string, double, and Boolean. Okay, at this moment, right now, I have made a integer variable, and the name of my integer variable is v, as you could see. Okay, कैसे use करेंगे उसे? We are going to see. Don't worry. First of all, you made a label, which I don't think I should talk about. It is understood that you made a label. Okay, and the text of the label is left justified. It is. See the word choose in programming are coming along the left margin, as we do in Microsoft Word left justification. Same thing here. To pack, nothing has been given. Therefore, you can notice that this is getting packed in the center. We usually use the word centrified, which means justification center. Now, what we next see is that we have a radio button, two radio buttons, as you could see, and it seems they have been anchored. If you go to a port, a ship anchored. Anchored मतलब वो ship में वो chain जो होता है ना, we tie that chain on the boundary of the sea, and therefore the ships cannot move. Otherwise, they will start floating in the water and they will go somewhere. So they cannot move. So because they're tied to the boundary wall, so the rope. So you anchor. So anchor and sticky are almost very similar. Function is anchoring onto the west. W means west. This is west, no? Isn't it? West is always on the left side. East is always on the right side. अगर आप कंप्यूटर को फेस कर रहे हैं आपके अपने खुद के कंप्यूटर को राइट नाउ, तो यू नो वेरी वेल कि वेस्ट इज विल कम ऑन द वेस्ट साइड, on the left side, and east will come on the right of yours. So anchoring the west, both. Very important thing to know. The radio, okay, anything in this radio button, I have marked the variable as v. So variable as v का मतलब ये हुआ कि whatever selection you do in this radio button, that selection will go in the variable v, which is your integer. Okay, which is a type integer variable, so it can hold integer value. The question that comes to your mind: what integer value will it hold? Interesting, right? So for that radio button, so I've given the value to the first radio button Python as 1, and the second radio button R as 2. Be very careful. All the radio a unique value, so that when you select them, the variable v indicates what value was. Okay, on yourself later on for your self practice, you can definitely try what will anchoring east do. I'm sure you've guessed it. If you do anchoring as east, this will go on the right side. I've selected Python, I've selected R. But Rocky sir, we don't see V as 1 or V as 2. You cannot, because the coding has not been done. No? We're creating the radio button, selecting Python, but moment selected Python, trust that this V variable has been R. This V variable would have become 2. Pakka hai, 100%. Be as assured of it. Okay? Right, let me close this. Now, I won't ask you आपने ये वाला program किया कि नहीं. No, I won't ask you. Wait. Because I want to improve the above code. I want to improve the above example with radio buttons. What do I want to improve? Since in many cases, there are more than 2 radio buttons. यहाँ तो 2 radio buttons थे, so we could take the effort to code them separately. What if you have a series of radio buttons, 6, 7 radio buttons? You're going to code like this. You're going to repeat this code for 6, 7 times. I don't think it's going to be a good idea. So what should we do? We can use a for loop to quickly create all the radio buttons. How? Let us see. Now, this program definitely everyone should try. So once again, I made an integer variable, as you could see, and I've set the integer variable to 1 by default. So Initializing the choice that is Python, no, it's not Python, it's Perl. And you will get up and tell me that, अरे how is it Perl, Rocky जी, ऐसे कैसे कह रहे हैं आप? Perl तो 2 है. See, the integer variable v, I have set it to 1. Ignore it from this list called languages. Don't even look at it. Just ignore it. Just imagine that I have set the integer variable v as default value as 1. Okay? Don't even think about what is Perl and why Perl is given. Just ignore this here also. Please ignore this. Okay? So what I've done is I made a list called languages, which holds which holds tuples. The first tuple is Python, 1, Perl, 2, so on and so forth. Again, ignore this function show choice. भूल जाओ उसको. When we call it, we will see this. So we will label. Look at the key part here. What I want to teach in this program. Enumerate function always helps you to traverse a list. Languages is a list. And enumerate will do what for you? Enumerate is going to return to you the first tuple, that is Python, 1, and also the index of this tuple. Technically speaking, the index of this tuple is 0. So this tuple is coming at the index 0, isn't it? At the index 0, I have a tuple which says Python, 1. At the index 0, I have a tuple Python, 1. Okay. At the index 1, I have a tuple called Perl, 2. So when you enumerate, my friends, what happens is you will naturally get two things back. The first thing, the index is going to go to val. And what is this? The val is 0. This is the index. And the word language, which you see here, the word language is going to hold this much part. Okay, Python, 1. This is what is going to hold. Okay. Now, what we're doing next is in the language, 1, we're dumping it in the variable called text. So text will show Python 1, then it will show Perl 2, Java 3, 4, C5. Have a look at the output. Wait. Look at the output. So the text said, I want the entire part of language. So language has 2 words, na? Python, 1. So both will get printed. And how you print a statement? Tomorrow, if I do a simple print where I print the string Python, then 1, it will print both together. No? That's what print does. Okay. Now, when I say variable is equal to v, what does it mean? It means that the radio button which you have created now, if you select it, its value will get stored in the variable v, which is the integer variable above. And if I select the radio button, I'm also calling a function called show choice. Notice, show choice, which is made by us. And the show choice function gets me the value of the variable v. The question which will come to your mind, I'm sure, dead sure. V को अपनी value कैसे मिलेगी? How will v get its own value? Right now, v is set to 1, but how will v get its own value? My friends, v will get its value from val, and val is the index. So for Python, notice I'm selecting Python. See carefully. See what came here. कहाँ से आया 0? Python 1 क्लिक करने पर 0 कहाँ से आया यहाँ पर? 0 इसके लिए आया क्योंकि Python as a tuple was at the 0th index of languages. And when you were running this for loop, while you were enumerating the languages list, what was the return value? The first time return value was val as 0 and languages as Python, 1. This one, no? 0 came in val and Python, 1 came into language, right? Therefore, you're seeing when I select Python, I get an index 0. If I select Perl, I'll get an index 1. Java, index 3. C++, index 4. So index 3, sorry. and C as index 4, 0 to 4. That's the benefit of enumerate function. I hope you're all getting me on this. Okay. Now I can close this and you run the code and tell me your doubts or whatever. So in this case, I would say you write for loop radio button done. For loop radio button done when you finish with this code. And if you have a doubt, please ask. Because if you don't give a variable a radio button, then when you select a radio button, where will you put its value? So every radio button has a value. Every radio button has a value. So where do you dump its value? So you dump the value of the radio button selected in the variable called v. Therefore, all the radio buttons have the same variable called v. Notice this is a for loop. So all the radio buttons are having a one single variable called v. Because we know that out of all the radio buttons, only one can be selected. And whichever is selected, its value will go in the variable v. Okay. So I see majority people have done it very good. Right. Just arranging my windows a bit. Give me a second. Yep. Now, this is some self-experimentation. This is a self-tryout. I've given the code, of course, completely. It changed the display of radio buttons to buttons. You can actually change the display of radio buttons to buttons. You can make it like looking like ordinary buttons, but out of all those buttons, only one button can be selected. Okay. So if you wish to try out, all of you, then what you need to do is in the previous code, I'm doing control Z, previous code, same previous code. I'm just going to my for loop and I'm replacing the for loop's internal part with the new code that is given here. Because it says, no, make the following changes in the above code. So now what additional thing I've added? I've added additional thing in the radio button. There is an attribute called indicator on. It's a single word, a single word. I have not done typing mistake here. This is an attribute name. Indicator on. If I mark it as 0, then the indicator which comes beside the radio button, you see a circle beside the radio button as an indicator, that will disappear. See here. So the indicator coming on the left of the radio button, on the left here, that is disappeared. So this looks like a button. It automatically looks like a button, to be very honest, because of the indicator being removed. Okay, now if you select something, as you can see, any one is being selected at a time, but they look like buttons instead of radio buttons. Okay. Yeah. I'm waiting for 1 minute. Please try this yourself. Come on. Please try this. And this is, if this is done, say modified radio button done. If it is done, please say modified radio button done. If any code is missing, please feel free to ask me on the chat. Okay. So some people, I believe, have already finished with this modified radio button done. I think we can, you know, why I'm entering with this faster pacer speed, because I've got a lot of examples to be done with you all people, right? Okay. If you have any, please, maybe some dot props in your mind after 10 minutes, may not be instantly. Feel free to ask. Just punch it over the chat. If I'm able to see it and answer that moment, I'll immediately answer it. Okay. So, friends, when we were all doing our engineering, we had electives, no, in Sem 7 and Sem 8. So let's let's think of making a very super simple user interface where we have checkboxes, and these checkboxes are allowing us to choose our electives for this semester. Now, before I jump in explaining you the code, I would prefer to show you the output first. Take the 30 seconds of passive silence where I'm not going to speak, 20-30 seconds. Look at the output. Please see that, do you see that all of the elements are left justifying? First. Second, do you see that you have got two checkboxes, one for AI, artificial intelligence, second for cyber security? Last, do you see that there are two buttons which are like sticking to the left hand side or sticking to the western suburbs? Like, west is always on the left and east is always on the right, as quit and show. I'm not speaking for the next 10-15 seconds. Look carefully. Well, I'm sure you looked at your screen, or rather, you looked at my screen, and you could see that when I selected AI only and I clicked on show button, it showed me that AI is selected and cybersecurity is not selected. Next case, I selected both and I clicked on show. It showed me both are one. Third case now, which you can see here, I haven't selected either of them. Neither I've selected AI nor I've selected cybersecurity, and I click on show. So you can notice that both are 0, 0. And obviously, if I click on quit, I'm going to quit the application or quit the UI. Now, with this thing in mind, we know how it is going to work. Now, let us look at this. So, friends, I have a function called variable states, which is going to find what is the value of the variable 1, which is mapped to the first checkbox, and the value of the variable 2 is mapped to the second checkbox. Okay? So, the funda is that I made two variables because there are two checkboxes. But in radio buttons, you will only make one variable. Right? Think about it. Because among all the radio buttons, you can select only one. But among all the checkboxes, you can select all of them also. Isn't it? You can select all of them. And there are two states for a checkbox. If it's not selected, it is as 0. If it is selected, it is as 1. As simple as that. Okay, so let's move on a little into this. First, I have got a label which shows text as your electives. Let me run this code once again so that you can do the mapping one on one. Your label your electives coming out over here. Now I have not used pack. Huh? But otherwise, I'll just keep. I'll myself get stuck to using only this. So I'm using grid now. So in grid, you have to specify in what row number and column number you would place your element. I have given only row equal to 0. I haven't given column number. So the fundamental thing is, if you don't give any column number, the entire row would have only one column. Or in simple words, the entire row will only show this one particular element called label as your electives. और कोई चीज इस रो में नहीं आ सकती. इस रो में आप केवल एक कॉलम होगा because column number specify नहीं किया गया है. Okay, moving further. Somebody asked long ago when the session started at around 3 o'clock. What a sticky means. Sticky is an attribute actually. So as you could see, so the same way where you can say tk.west on pack, you say sticky equal to west on the grid function. And remember grid, place, and pack. Please remember at the start which we learned. Three functions. I named the three functions to you also. They're given in the Colab notebook. Don't I think worry about it. Pack, place is horrible, trust me. Because in place you have to specify the x and y coordinate in pixel wise. It's horrible to use this. Nobody uses this. 90% people use pack. At times we use grid. So my coding has also been done in the practical style of what people use in the industry. Although there are far more better libraries than tk-kinter today, and so not more than 5% people in Python today would be using this library. Not more than 5%. Most of the people have actually got shifted to using web-based interfaces, that is using HTML5, Bootstrap, and JavaScript. Because you can make awesome, beautiful looking user interfaces from here. Yes, correcting with Python is a little troublesome, but then people have been able to figure that out, and that we will do it. Because after all, UI is very important. You cannot have a beautiful application with a dumb UI. Okay, this guy can make only very simple UI for you. Usually we use TK for making a kind of test environment UI in the industry. So test environment UI basically means that you're not actually keen or interested to make the UI for an application. That to some other team is already making using HTML5, Bootstrap, and JavaScript, or by using some Python libraries like Streamlit. I do not know if you heard of it or not, but we use very often about the Streamlit. So I'll just share the link with you here. Wait, a second, hold on. I'll share the link of Streamlit, but let me finish with this code first. Okay, so I was on this talking about right. So next is you made a variable called var1, which is an integer variable. My first check button got made, and this check button, if selected, will dump its value as 1 in the variable 1. So variable 1 has got binded, जुड़ गया है, अब दोस्ती हो गई दोनों की. And where have you placed your check button, first check button? I have placed the AI check button in the first row. And because I made it sticky equal to west, he's going to be on the western side. See, AI is on the western side. Similarly, second variable, same story over here, and the row 2, second row. Okay, I have a button in the fourth row. I'm sure you'll be wondering that in these two buttons, what is this pad y equal to 4? So pad x will leave space horizontally on either sides. Pad y is going to leave space vertically on the top and on the bottom. So I'm leaving a 4 pixel space on the top and 4 pixel space on the bottom. Therefore, you can see little spaces here. If you remove this pad, you will see no space. You want to check this? Check it. You can remove the padding and check it. Hmm. There is a space. There's no space here. That looks very clumsy. They look very congested together, right? That's the reason I left a space. If I click on the first button, the command is master.quit. So it's going to quit the GUI. Remember, the GUI root is named as master. So it's your choice. You can name it as root or master. You can give any name of your choice, but then I've always told you don't give any names. It becomes difficult for other programmers to read your code. Okay, and the next is if I click the fourth button, that means if I click the show button, then I'm calling, I repeat, I'm calling the function var underscore states. Yeah, this one, which does nothing, right? It just simply prints the value of AI and the value of cybersecurity. That means it prints the value of var1. Either it could be 0 or a 1. Simple. Okay? Now, take 1 minute. Patience, you have been listening to me continuously for 1 hour 25 minutes. I know you're tired of my voice. Listening is also an art. Listening to somebody for such a long time is really appreciable. Humbly thankful for it. But I'll take a rest for 1 minute. Please, in that meantime, think of your doubts, post your doubts, and also run this program. And I will share one link with you. Maybe for the 1 or 2 minutes, you can take some time out and look at this link called streamlit.io. It's there for making user interfaces for our machine learning applications, and we use it very often. So it's a very handy way of doing it. So go to this website, just the front page, just the front home page. It will give you a fair idea of why I'm talking about of good looking interfaces. Now this is something like good looking UI with no coding, with almost no coding. Of course there is coding, but there is very minimal coding. Okay, go through this. Okay, so friends, I believe that you would have at least taken that 1 minute pause of listening of my voice, because continuous listening to somebody is, as I've told you, is really appreciable. Okay, now And I have also given that link of streamlit.io. Please copy that link and keep it somewhere safe, or maybe in this file itself, just copy paste it in this file. Trust me, someday or the other, if you are into the field of data science or AI, you will definitely use streamlit.io. I can bet on it. You will not skip it. You will definitely will love to use it. Okay? Right. So with this note, we can move further. So I'm coming back to my example number 8. So we have actually executed, to be very honest, 7 examples, and each example had 1 or 2 modification programs. 14 examples or 14, 15 codes we have already run now. But we still have many to run. Trust me, lot more to go. Uh, Since we just did checkboxes now, right? Now, I want to make a very simple application where I could enter some details, and it should look like a kind of a mini front end or a very simplified front end to my database application. Actually, this example number 8 is not of checkboxes, so I think this is a mistake in my typing, typo error. So you can just correct this. Example number 8 is not checkboxes. Example number 7 were checkboxes. Example number 8 is simply example of entering your details for a simple front end to a database application. It's an example related to entry widgets. What are entry widgets? Okay, entry widgets are where you can, it's like a text box where you can accept the entry, where you can accept the input from the user. Like for example, I ask you, what's your first name? And you enter something. Where will you enter? You need some box to enter, no? That box is basically your TK entry. Okay? So let me take this from here. Let me first run the code. Have a look at the output first. Super simple application. First name is a label. There is a text box here where you can type something here. Let's say your name is ABC. Tab. Name is DEF. Last name is DEF. Okay. Of course, I don't have any way to submit this, but yes, we can add more code to submit this where I would accept these two variables, and like I was printing it on the screen here, I will not print it. So if I connect this GUI to my database application, whatever you've entered here, you'll use a get method to get the data from the first entry. So the first entry is E1. The second entry is E2. So you will get the first object from E1, second object from E2, simple, and give it as an insert statement to your MySQL or SQL, what we did day before yesterday. Okay, so let now compare these two things. See what we have got. We have got two labels, first name and last name, as you could see, and both are being placed in grid row equal to 0 and row equal to 1. So naturally, moment I write this, you will come back to my own words and you'll say, Rocky sir, abhi to aapne kaha tha ki if you don't give a column, that means that in the first row 0, there is only one element called first name. Yes, I agree with you. I stand on my words. But please remember, as I progress ahead, I made two entry objects here, and I'm saying this entry object is see dot grid. What is saying? I'm saying that to grid that listen, please put this entry object E1 also in the 0th row. Please put this entry object also in the 0th row. And column 1. Oh, so now the question accommodation comes. So he's a paying guest who has come on the row number 0 and is coming and sitting along with you. क्या कर सकते हैं? Unexpected guest or maybe a paying guest. He is coming and spitting. He says, मुझे भी वहीं बैठना है. ठीक है. So what happens now is, moment this says column 1, automatically row 0, column 0 is allocated to the first label. Therefore, this is row 0, column 0. And beside it, what we have ABC here is the row 0, column 1. Simple, right? So as you could see that we've got two things here, but there is no functions to accept the input. So we will, I do not know whether I will commit or not, but then yes, I will try my level best to do as much as possible. Now I'm improving the above code. Why? Because the above code didn't have any buttons, that is not good. So I'm improving the above code by adding two buttons. One is quit and one is show. I'm adding two buttons. One is quit, one is show. Let's have a look at the piece of code, friends. Now let's first run this code to have a look at its look and feel. Okay, this is the way it looks like. The first part looks identical. It is identical. It doesn't look identical. It is identical. So have a look. You made a label called first name. You made a label called last name. Made two entry objects like we did last time. Then further we told entry object to get placed in the 0th row, first column. And this is the first row, first column. So there are like two paying guests coming and sitting beside the labels. So label says, ठीक है, चलो accommodate कर लेते हैं. This interface was made last time also. This is made now. ABC, DF. Okay, this is my first name, this is my last name. Now what am I doing? I've coded two buttons. The first button is a quit, who says that my command is that if you click me, I would say master.quit. So I will quit the application only. I will quit the application only. And where is this placed? He's placed in the row 3, column 0. Notice the quit button has been placed in the 0th column, this one, vertical, 0th column, and 3rd row. And the next button with a caption called show, title called show, has a command that if you click this button, I am going to call show entry fields. क्या करता है ये function? देखते हैं. एक मिनट रुको. Grid देख लो उसे कहाँ place कर रहा है. 3rd row में first column. So this is your first column. This is the 0th column. This is the first column. So the first column we're placing it in the 3rd row. Sounds interesting. Correct. It indeed sounds interesting. And because you have kept it as stickiness towards the west, no wonder you see this left boundary here. Imagine somebody asked me in one of the previous sessions, or maybe not in this session, somewhere else. Okay, Jagtiani ji, why is the show not going on to the quit? I told, how can it go there? Because show has been kept in the 3rd row, first column. 3rd row, first column. So he's on, the column begins at this point. So he's on the extreme western side of the column. You get me? If the stickiness was east, he would have gone to the right hand side of that respective row. So why is on the left hand side of the row? Because stickiness is west. If the stickiness is east, he would go to the right hand side of the respective row. Okay? That is the basic difference between the two. Anyway, now the more important thing, show entry fields. Function एक बार देख लें हम लोग. Have a look. It is printing the first name and the last name by getting the value as e1.get and e2.get. Now please understand, if I were to link this application with the SQL application, that is a database programming, instead of printing the first name and the last name, I would have written a code here to connect to the database and insert my first name and last name, or maybe more details. Like this, you can keep continuing your coding and you can ask more details from the user. First name, last name, department, enrollment number, blah, 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 blah. You can ask him 20 fields, and then on instead of the show button, the button would have been named as save or submit. And for the save and submit button, inside this function, we would have done the entire database connectivity work, which we did in the previous lectures, and written an insert command and execute the SQL to insert the data into the table. Simple as that, right? Now, if I click on show, I can see this. I can change this here. See? So what show is doing is printing. If I would want to do save, I would have saved it. So just copy pasting the code of MySQL, which you learned 2 or 3 days back over here, and this will start working. Okay? So since I'm further improving the above code, of course, this is like Uh, it's quite self-explanatory, but then I thought I should do it. So I'm further improving the above code. What is the objective now? I want to show some default name. Like in the box, it was blank now. So I want to show the default name in the first name box as my name Rocky and my surname Jagtiani. And also suppose we wish to delete. Sorry. Also we wish to delete the names entered after printing. That means moment I print my first name or last name, let's say ABC2 and DEF2, it should be deleted from the box. Then what changes will I do to my code? Let us see. Okay, right. So let's have a look at this. We have tick enter as EK, show entry fields. Um, entry fields, we will see what it does. Patience. Let us let us see first the output. So what do you see now? Is a label inside it. My name coming by default, last name also coming by default. Okay. Right. If I click on show, would see what is visible in the box. But did you notice after showing this, the output has got disappeared? Did you notice this? That after showing you the output here, first name something and last name something, the output has disappeared from the boxes. So now the question is what happened? We will find out. Let's see. Skipping the normal making of the code, let me come to the entry 14th line. The entry object E1 here, this one, this blank box here. This is the entry object E1. Is having, I'm inserting into it at the index 0. The first parameter is the index. At the index 0, delete the comments because usually when you see a lot of comments in the code looks very big. No? So at the 0th index, I'm inserting my name. Okay, let's say you want to insert something else. Okay, let me enter the name of my friend here, Munira Ansari. Okay, right? So I'm inserting the name of one of my friends, my friend colleagues who works at Sabu Siddiq. Okay, so Munira Ansari is I've inserted in the E1 box here at the 0th index. And E2 is inserted also in the from the 0th index in the second box. Now see what we're doing. E1.grid is telling where should E1 and where should E2 be placed. Normal button code is same, ditto same, no difference. Just have a look at this part of the command. So if I click on the button called show, quit is no different. Huh? The code of quit is no different. You will see that why the spacing is coming. To be very honest, because when we reduce our screen sizes or increase now, it gets a little distorted actually. So that is not actually of any of faults. The code was like this actually. So it gets a little distorted. It's because expanding and contracting our screens all the time actually. Okay, now what do I notice is in my second button, which is with the text called show, I have kept the command as show entry fields. Let us go to this function. See this. It's printing the first name and the last name by fetching the data from e1.get, e2.get. See what is doing next. He's going to the entry field and is deleting from the 0th index up to the end. Achha, so whatever is there will get deleted. Correct. Whatever is there will get deleted. If you delete from 0 to end, entire name will get deleted. Delete from If you delete from 1 to end, then the first character of the name will be left. Okay. Confusing? Wait. Let me show this first. Let me quit this. First name Munira, last name Ansari. If I click on show, I'm sure everybody will say Munira Ansari वहाँ आएगा हमको पता था. Right, cool. That's very nice. Okay, I'm quitting from here now. I say quit. cutting from the box. Again, I go back to my code and I'm saying 1 and 1. That means from the from the index 1 up to the end. So 0th character will get left out. No? Still confused? Look here. See what happened. First name still indicates M. Last name still indicates A. That means the first characters of both the names were left out. Why? Because that's the way we have coded. We have said that delete from 1 to last. So we are leaving the 0th index. Right? So this is the use of delete. So delete method is one of the methods for entry object. It is the second method for the entry object to get any data from it. And insert is the last method and the third method which can be used over the entry object. So instead of teaching you methods traditionally, I thought we should build simple applications to learn them. Okay, otherwise there is no fun. Otherwise it's very boring to teach UI. Okay, right? Now, tell me, is there any code missing as regards to this? Or could you run this code? If you ran this code, please say as modified version ran. Modified version ran, because this is the final modified version of the code. Only one person has run modified version. Others, please, if there is any code missing, please be frank to tell me. Okay, right. So, friends, summarizing on to this, because I'm just coding assignment and to solve last, uh, is this, that you would have noticed two things: that you have learned so many different objects. Theory of it is given in the Collab notebook. Only one object which you learned till now for accepting input from user was entry. So entry is like a text box to accept input from the user. But apart from entry, I can go to my Collab notebook for a minute. You don't go, you just watch here. Apart from entry, you also have another object called text object. उसका भी program completely coded आपके workspace file में है. So please don't worry about it. It is ditto the same. How you code an entry, ditto same you code a text box. But the advantage text box gives you is it allows you to enter multiple line text. Example, if you plan to enter a feedback, you plan to enter somebody's address, you plan to enter some comments, then you would definitely need multiple or multi-line text entry. And multi-line text entry is called as a text box. Right. Now, moving on to my last application for today is the coding assignment. So we're looking at this kind of a mini calculator app which is capable of doing any kind of mathematical expression like printing any result. Let us look into this. It's a very simple code, but this code may not be there with you. Repeat, this code may not be there with you. So please understand the code along with me, and ideally don't expect me that I should punch it over the group. If there is some part of the code missing, or if it's entire code missing, yes, I will punch it out. But if some part of the code missing, then try and type it out. That's the right practice. In fact, it is easiest to type actually. When you are on online medium, it is easiest to do it. Trust me. Online medium has a lot of advantages which offline medium does not have. Offline medium has so much of distractions, so much of wastage of time in traveling. So online medium, if you are in a small group like this, and yes, of course, we have time constraints because this whole program is governed in the time frame of what AICTE has prescribed. So obviously, the hosting institute has to follow that time constraint pattern. Otherwise, let's say the time is not a constraint. Imagine if time is not a constraint, okay, and the trainer is given the freedom that, okay, how much time do you need to teach this topic? The trainer says, I need 5 hours to teach, or 6 hours to teach. Fine, take all the 6 hours to teach this topic. Split on so and so days. So then obviously you'll be able to interact also with the trainer, and you can learn it the best. Okay? Right. So let's have a look at this. I'm importing math because I plan to use a function of the math library called evaluate. EVAL. This function is supposed to evaluation of any expression, like 2 plus 3, 2 plus 3 into 5, something like this. Let me run this expression. Let me run this code first. Okay. See, this is a mini application. This is a mini calculator. This is not a proper UI. You type your expression here, whatever expression you want. 3 into 5 plus 67 minus 88. Okay, 3 into 5 plus 67 minus 88. Fine. Press enter. The result is minus 6. Okay. So how did you get it? Let's see this. You forget the function evaluate for 2 minutes. बस मत देखो उसको please. भूल जाओ. You made a TK object. You made a label as this you're expecting, as you can see. And in pack, I have not said right, not said. It's obvious. We just center justified. Simply उसको centrified बोलते हैं हम. Simple words. I made an entry object, except one line input. And why I'm giving this parameter W everywhere? Because W is my root now. Key object is W. So W becomes a parent to every component I make. Next, to my entry object, the same rule applies for a text object also. Text and entry, same rule applies. To my entry object, if I say bind, and in double quotes I say return, then what I mean to say is, if you press the enter key, moment you press the enter key, I will call the handler function. Who's the handler function? Handler function means the function written, the parameter written in the second position is the name of the handler function, who's going to handle the input which you have given in the entry. So you have called the evaluate function, which does something. Let us now patiently, with patience, look what is he doing. Go from the innermost bracket. So entry.get is getting all the content of the entry, which is 3 to 5 plus 67 minus 88. That is given to evaluate, which evaluates this expression. Evaluate is a math expression, so it's a math function. So he will, whatever expression you give him, he will evaluate that and give it to you. And after evaluating, I'm converting it into a string so that I can concat it to the word result equal to. So you get this result minus 6, as you could see. It's a string, no? Isn't it? Okay, where is it getting displayed? Interesting question. Where is it getting displayed? Okay, now look at this. On 15th line, you will notice I made an empty label called RES. This label has no text part, so it's empty. Like if you look at every other label, it has a text part. This label has no text part. So we are configuring its text. See, we are configuring. Configuring means changing at runtime. By changing at runtime its text to result equal to whatever. So you got this answer. Right? So you just remove this and say 57 multiplied with 6.67. or 6.8, whatever. This is the answer. You can give it any calculation and it does it for you. Of course, give them a basic calculation. Give it a basic calculation. It will do it for you. Okay. Let me close this application. Now, one of you, Dattare says, calculator application done, sir. Dattare has finished. What about others? So if anybody wishes to punch me the code, you wish me to punch you the code, please tell me. Then from what line to what line should I punch the code? See, I do not know what you have and what you don't have. Please understand. Okay, मुझे याद नहीं रहेगा. I made the file 2 weeks ago. Getting error for TK. No, that's okay. I'm asking you, you have maybe typed the code wrongly, so you would have been getting the error. Okay. Now, point is this, that key, how much part of the code is missing? You tell me that first. From what line to what line is missing? Anybody to tell me? Bandana says code is complete. Bandana, code is completely there. Nothing missing. Fantastic. Very good. Very good. Okay. So if my code is completely there, then you shouldn't get any mistakes. Just check up. If you get a mistake of TK, then possibly when you're making a TK object, you may not have kept capital T. That is a common mistake people make. So the small tk is a module which I have imported, and capital TK is the class name which is there. So that is always capital. Okay, right? Yeah. So I hope you have been able to do this much. Right. Now I would call upon any one of my organizing committee member friends. So is Munira or Lubna, anyone online? Can you please come online for a minute? Please remember, anyone from the committee members coming online should please be wearing their earphones. Don't turn on your audio over your laptop. Please make sure you're having your earphones on. Lubna or Munira, anyone can please come online. Calling upon Lubna or Munira, anyone can please come online. Friends, is my audio clear? Tell me yes or no. Okay, right. So maybe they are occupied in something different. Anyway, not a problem. Okay, so let me take help from all of you then. Okay, because you're the participants, so let me take help from you directly. In the next project assignment, which is super big, is there any code missing, or is the entire code given? Anyone? Is there any code missing? That code entirely is about 75 lines. So do you see something like your code here, or type your code here in the next project, that is in the project assignment? The second project assignment. No, somebody is telling me, no, is there some code missing? Like if there's some code missing, like what line number is missing, or is there a function called monthly payment missing? Vandana says the entire code is there. Fine, cool. So in that particular case, uh, then I've actually given you the file with the solutions. Okay, so that's good enough. So I don't think so that anybody has to struggle at all to do that code. But remember, please remember, don't skip it. अरे हो गया ना अपना FDP, तो let's skip it. No, no, no. If you really want to learn, then please make sure that you go in a discipline. You read the project assignment here, which I'll explain you very briefly, as building a loan interest calculator application for a small bank. Okay, a very very small bank you can imagine, and um, the formula can be used to calculate the balance. The balance means basically the amount which you have to pay back to the bank after you've done K payments. So this is called as balance indexing in a bank. Starting with the initial balance, also has a loan principal and a period rate R. What is the rate of interest which the bank is charging? Maybe 8% or 9% or whatever. So if I look at this, this is the formula which is given in the banking norms. Okay, so leave it as it is. Where rate is equal to the interest rate in percentage, maybe 8.5% for a housing loan or 9%. What is I? I is equal to whatever is the rate divided by 100. So if I use the variable I in anywhere here, it's going to be rate divided by 100. R corresponds to R, which I've used here. Actually, the small r here is the period rate, which is I upon 12. So understand what I'm trying to say. I have calculated first. So somebody comes and tells me that my housing loan interest rate is 8.5% per annum. So 8.5% means 0.085. I'm going to divide this by 12 because this term R used in the formula is the period rate on equivalent monthly basis, because you always pay your EMI as equal monthly installments. So this is the monthly rate which is there. So you're paying a monthly rate of 0.07. Okay. Again, please stick to the formula. Don't worry about it. Don't challenge it as a Q here. Because this is a banking formula which is bank is giving. This is not you and me who are deriving it. We are only making an application around this formula. So B0 is initial balance. Assume this is the loan principal you have taken, let's say 20 lakh of rupees. BK is the balance after K payments. Balance left. Balance left after K payments. So you, let's say you paid 5 EMIs or you paid 7 installments or 20 installments. So फिर कुछ पैसा बचेगा. उसके बाद in 20 installments, 20 lakh not going to get over. So you have paid some installments, some is yet to go. Some years of repayment is yet to go. K is the number of monthly payments, and P, small p, is the period for which you're going to pay your EMI for. And if you want to find the necessary monthly payment, if the loan to be paid off in N payments, then one sets Bn equal to 0 and gets this particular formula. Again, there's another formula that's given to us. And what is expected is, what I'm expecting is, because solution has already been given, is that this application, if you run, will have an interface something like this. Have a look at the interface first. Let's say the annual rate is 9%. Number of payments 100. Loan principal, let's say 12 lakhs. 12,000, 1,20,000, 12 lakhs. Monthly payment which you are possibly making is, let's say, 50,000 of rupees. So if I have to find something, I'll click on final balance. Oops. If I have made 50,000 rupees per month, and if I've already made such payments, then actually I've overpaid to the bank this much amount at the rate of 9%. Okay, so let me change this payments to 10 and then click on this. This gives me right answer. Obviously, this is the right answer. So you have made 10 payments. So remember, you have taken 12 lakh rupees as a loan amount at the rate of 9%. You have made 10 payments. Then the amount to be paid back by you more is 7 lakh 75,088.2.08 paisa. Okay. You will notice that this is just asking you the number of payments that is made. So this is not a very complex application, because in a complex application we'll also come to know for how much period you have taken a loan. When you have taken a loan for 5 years or 10 years or 15 or 20 years, there is also some reducing balance. वो तो फिर पूरा major project हो जाएगा. This is a mini project. That's why the time given is 45 minutes. In that 45 minutes, what you should do, you should understand how the project has been coded. So you have the UI, you have this part, and this project runs in two phases actually. For example, supposedly you know that you have taken, and the number of payments you want to make is, let's say 100. You want to make 100 payments, and this is the loan principal you have taken. You do not know about the monthly payment, and I'm asking you what monthly payment should I make. I get an exception. Why? Because I have not given the remaining loan amount. So let's say remaining loan amount is 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs. Then he says me that if you want to make 100 payments, out of 12 lakhs, your remaining amount is 10 lakhs. Then per month you should pay 1 lakh 350. No, one not 1 lakh. Sorry, 10,350 rupees every month is what you should pay. That means per year you should pay 1 lakh 20,000 to the bank. Only then your loan amount of 10 lakhs will get over in 100 payments. That means in 100 months. Okay. So I quit this application. Right. So friends, we've already exceeded the time. Right. So loan calculator application has been done by Vandana. Yeah, Vandana, you've not done it. You have only ran it. None of you would have done it. Or something which takes me about more than an hour to understand, you should at least take 45 minutes to understand. Right. That's good. You clarified you ran it. Yeah, yeah. That's very nice. Very nice. Good. So friends, could I have a one-line feedback on the chat? Or maybe if anybody would like to come verbal, how was this 5 days or hands-on part? All we all did practically and executed practically. So I hope it was fruitful and useful to you. Right. Okay. So in some of my LinkedIn notebooks, you will see. Oh, Sarah, some of my Collab notebooks, you're going to see my LinkedIn profile. So if you wish to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can please do that. And in case if you wish to get my numbers, you can always contact Munira or Samreen or Lubna or Malik ma'am, and they have my numbers, so they can they can exchange my numbers with you. In case if you're not on LinkedIn, so maybe you can directly contact with me on my number. In case if you are planning to conduct such kind of AICTE or some high level FDP programs for your institution, right? Yeah. So I thank from my side that you have been very good listeners and very prompt repliers on the chat. So thank you for your patience. I hope you utilize this entire learning. Okay. Yeah. So I would hand over my control over to uh, Malik ma'am. Malik ma'am, over to you. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Lubna, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of Abu Siddiq Polytechnic, our principal, Ms. Zebunessa Malik, all our participants and our entire team, I extend a very hearty thanks to Mr. Rocky Jagtiani, sir, for conducting hands-on session on Python programming. It's been a very engaging and interactive 5 days hands-on session, sir. Thank you for sharing your expertise. It's been a pleasure for all of us to be a part of your hands-on session. Thanks for all the efforts you've put in preparing all the contents. Hoping for a long-lasting relationship with you, sir. If in any case help is needed, we will surely get in touch with you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so now the participants are requested to join tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. because our first session will start at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, and tomorrow is the last day of our FDP. So attendance is compulsory for tomorrow's session. Kindly join at 9:25 for the session in the morning. Thank you all.
ग्रुप में डाल देंगे ना ये शेड्यूल जो नहीं ग्रुप में डालना पड़ेगा ना
and the final quiz on Moodle will be activated today from 6 to 9. So you all can attempt that final quiz, and depending on that, the valedictory function will be scheduled tomorrow in between 2 to 4. And certificate distribution will also be done in that function. So we end for the day, ma'am. Zeba.
Yes, thank you, Lubna. So all the participants are requested, please be there for that tomorrow's valedictory function, because our guest will be there. ISTE chairman will be there. So kindly be there. Thank you all. Thank you.